Hey, welcome back to Dare Twin Flame. And for the person who was going to record less, I seem to be recording more. I'm bored. That's why I'm recording. I am sitting in the cemetery in Innerkip, which is in the middle of nowhere, waiting for my son to do his open water training at Trout Lake, which I might add is freaking insane. Not the open water training there, but the people. Apparently social distancing is not a thing in this world anymore because the cars are packed in 3, 4, 5 layers deep. There's people everywhere. There's barely, I'm not even sure how they're going to swim because the lake is full. It's full of rafts, it's full of boats, it's full of people. There's people on top of people and more coming in. There's a lineup when we got there to get in. There was a lineup when I left. There's like at least 20 cars in line continuously. It's crazy. So then I was not staying because they charge a small fortune to go in. I paid for him to get in, took him to his coach, left him there, said stay the hell away from anybody. And I went and found some shade in the funeral, or in the cemetery. And there's a small group of people who have escaped and are here enjoying the peace and quiet. Sorry about that. I had a lovely chat with the lady that was just leaving the group that I was telling you about. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I'm burning time. Have an hour to spare. So I have a book, but I thought I'd record and say, hey, I have been having many dreams about my dear twin flame. And it's interesting because I wasn't, and then I made these decisions, and then I was, and it's like, I don't know. It's like the universe, like, oh, you're not paying attention, or oh, you need to shift. So here, have all this to digest, and it's really awesome to see you on a regular basis, my dear twin flame. It just reminded me that. Sorry, I'm just trying to get comfortable. Hanging out in my car for an hour. It's not the most exciting thing. Anyway, we're comfortable. What was I saying? Oh, dreaming about you. It's interesting because I used to sign off my thing, you're loved and you're missed. And what I've realized is that when I focus on doing what's best for me and what's following my purpose and following my path and all that, and leave ego aside and whatever that looks like, I don't feel like I miss you. I mean, I miss your physical, sorry, I got hair in my mouth. I miss your physical presence, but I feel like I'm with you, and the dreams just reiterate that I can feel your presence, and I don't miss you as much, which is why I like making these recordings, because I don't know, it just feels like you're part of my world, and I want to talk to you, and this way maybe you can hear me if you're not getting the dreams too. So there's that. Excuse me, my phone is beeping. I need to make sure it's not my son. Oh. My girls are with their dad. They've gone to the lake because the little one wants to go paddleboarding. And she was distressed that there might be too many people, but apparently they found a spot where nobody's around, which is awesome, and I'm jealous because I'd much rather be there than here. But this is the things we do as parents. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I don't miss you as much because I feel you with me all the time, and I'm seeing you in my dreams all the time, which is really cool and really torturous all at the same time, because let me say, these dreams, they're not all PG anymore, which is, I mean, they all start off PG, they start off quite every day, and then they go sideways, which is nice, I suppose. Just bringing back all sorts of memories. But twin flames. Been doing a lot of reading lately because I don't want to screw things up. I want to understand. I want to understand the other side of the twin flame coin, being that I'm only one part of it, and I'm interested to know other people's experiences and what they've learned so that I can learn from them. And it's been quite an interesting journey in chatting with people. But what I've realized recently, and I'm getting repeated messages over and over and over again that I wanted to share, is that along with everything else in 2020, there's huge shifts. Well, it's part of what's going on with 2020. It's just not how everybody else looks. It's not through the same lens that everybody else is looking through. But there's shifts. There's huge shifts. There's trauma's being brought forth. There's so I could see him coming in my mirror. There's shifts, but they're really good shifts or really bad shifts, and it's all on which side you want to be on or how you want to look at it. I guess kind of like this whole COVID thing. Some people take this whole self-isolation or social distancing, and they can only see I'm being dictated to. I hate it when government has no right to tell us what to do, blah blah blah, whatever it looks like. But I'm trying to find all the positives in it, and honestly, I don't mind it so much. I don't mind that people aren't in my space as much. I don't mind that I get to spend copious amounts of time with my children and focusing on teaching them things that they don't usually have time to learn. I'm teaching them all how to cook. I'm teaching them, the girls and I are learning piano together. We're playing games, communicating, talking about how they deal with situations that are uncomfortable, how they are, how they're feeling, why they're feeling it, what they think the lesson is, using it for the time that we just never ever have. So I'm really appreciating it, and I'm challenging even my clients that have started coming back, been doing Reiki in the backyard. And there's a definite divide of people who want to fight, and then there's people who want to find the lesson and the positive, and the difference in their demeanors is astronomical. It's really interesting. So I don't know, never been much of a party animal anyway, so I just really I appreciate it all. And I look at all these people who just want to lash out and think, what are you trying to escape from? So, because that's what people do, right? When they don't want to face their inner demons, they just go on the outside and fill their time so they don't have to be with themselves, or they don't have to be with the ones around them, because they don't want to deal with the crap that comes up. Because crap comes up. It just does. So, anyway, I don't know, I just keep getting this. I'm like, so what's up with you? How's life? How's the struggle? How's the journey going? I had a phone call yesterday from somebody saying that there was an RV bus for sale between Goderich and Bayfield, and I was like, I wonder whose that is. I was giving them third degree on where they saw it, what it looked like, trying to figure out. Because here's the thing, we've been we've been following these. Okay, total side tangent. Been following this YouTube. The girls and I have been following this YouTube channel. This couple, and they redid a Sprinter, whatever. One of the vans by Mercedes and Dodge, I think. And they converted it into a camper van, and they've been traveling around the world in this camper van. And when COVID hit, they were in Morocco, and due to, insurance being revoked or whatever, they had to find their way home, and they ended up having to leave their van in the airport parking lot in Morocco. And so since they've been home and they, did the 14-day quarantine and everything, they have decided that they're going to use the time, because they don't know when they'll be able to travel again, to build another van. And Sadie's like, we need to do this. I'm like, yeah, if we could afford that, that would be awesome. She's like, we should so do that. And then we were talking to my aunt, who said there's property in Port Albert that's for sale, and I should buy a piece of it and build a little house, and the girls and I can be there. And I was like, well, someday I will get home, because it's already been decided. Apparently Sadie has, I put out a general, what are your thoughts on this about moving back home, and whether she would want to move back when she's still in high school, or if I should wait until she was done. And she was like, we could leave, but we have to wait for Grayson, so that's fine. But there's this property for sale that we could build on. And Maya's like, you just do a little house. I'm like, 3 girls in a little house, I'm not sure about that. That might get three women, being that 2 of them will be teenagers by then. I can't even imagine not having a little bit of space. I guess kick them out to the lake. But anyway, I thought, well, who'd want a piece of property if we could just travel around? She has no intention of going to university, I don't think. Not now anyway. I think she'd rather just find a way to tour the world and go places and be with people. Learn new things. That's really where her head is at. And God, it sounds awesome watching their travels, the places they've been. And they completely support themselves. They have a tea business, but they also support themselves through their YouTube channel, just recording it and posting it and people watching. So I was like, damn, I'm using this YouTube channel for the wrong reasons. No, that's not true. This is important, very important to me. But makes you think, makes you wonder. Try to figuring out what's the most important, right? Living life, or that daily grind. Finding a way to live your life and still fund it without being in the daily grind. The dreams. Anyway, because we had been talking about that with my aunt and this van thing and whatever, she's like, I saw a bus for sale, and that made me wonder, I wonder if my twin is selling his van or his bus. Not that I could afford that. That is definitely not on the payroll, but still, it made me think of you, as always. What else was I going to say? I have so many things that have been coming to me these days. I can't remember the dream from last night. The night before, was really interesting, because every guy in my life, grandfathers, fathers, exes, was in this dream, and they were all just... Not my grandfather. My grandfather was fine. Everybody else was just either ignoring me or dictating to me or rolling their eyes at me or whatever. And I was in this house that was under construction, ironically, being the conversations that we've been having. Anyways, I was in the basement of this house, and the framework in the basement was open, and the stairs coming down was just like plywood, like just not unfinished, right? Just construction type stairs. And I was talking to these other people, and I was just, what was I doing? I don't know. I was trying to get some stuff done in this basement. Anyway, you came flying down the stairs, and you weren't there to see me. You had no idea I was going to be there. It was like it was a job for you, and you were trying to get. When I first got there, I was surprised that you weren't there, and then I realized that it wasn't your job site, and then all of a sudden it became my house that I was trying to get work done in the basement, which is kind of dictating to, or emulating, mirroring reality, but that's beside the point. Anyway, I was doing something, and it was like you had dropped by and you were doing an errand, or you had to drop something off for somebody else, and you had no idea that I was there. And you came flying down these stairs and around the corner, and your head was down, and you were dealing with whatever was in your, like, in your hands or whatever, your phone. I don't know what it was. Anyway, you ran right into me, and then as I was following you, like, kind of caught me, and you're like, oh my God. And I was like, what are you doing here? And we're like really close. We were not social distancing because you tripped over me basically, and then you kissed me, which we've already talked about. The effects of your kisses on me was no exception. And then as you were like holding me, or we were holding each other, and trying to like comprehend the fact that we were both there and this just happened and whatever, another ex friggin' walks by, but on the upstairs, and you can see the upstairs kind of like a open, I don't know, it was weird. I can't even explain it. Like an open concept railing type deal that was looking down. I don't know. Anyway, and they're like, well, where's this? And I'm like freaking out. Not freaking out, just kind of like, oh my, they're here, we're here. And then it was just like, it didn't matter. I'm like, it's in wherever, told them where, whatever it is they were looking for, and they just carried on. And it was just, there was no I guess the point of it was there was no reason to panic. And then it was over, and then I was awake, and I was like, what do I do with that? So yeah, that was the one from 2 days ago. One of the ones from 2 days ago. The one that I remember. Don't know what it means, but it is what it is. And then last night I had another one, and for the life of me, when I woke up, I could not backtrack any of it. And it was very intense, and it was very long, and it was very it was very nice. I remember that I felt very calm, but it was intense calm, which is weird. But anyway, that's sharing of my life. But I've also had all these other messages, and sorry, I'm gonna pause the video and find what I was looking for, and I'll come back. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm back. Okay, so here's what it was a letter that I read. Actually, it was a post or something online in a twin flame like post board, like people talk about twin flames. Anyway, and it really resonated with me because it talks about divine feminine and divine masculine, and it's not that we are like that I, because I am female, am divine feminine, and not you because you're male, are divine masculine, but that we both have these energies within us, and it's what we choose to focus on that determines who we are as a person. Anyway, I'm just going to read you what he wrote, because it was just very poignant, and I don't know, maybe if it doesn't mean something to you now, maybe it will mean something to you later, but it just goes to the idea of releasing those preconceived, ego-driven beliefs of who we're supposed to be or what we're supposed to be. And I just found it very powerful. So, let me begin by dispelling a few myths, lies, nonsensical bullshit. The nonsensical bullshit you've been told since forever. We all walk around in our skin suits with our sexual parts and our identities, and might even think that's what or all we are. Nonsense. It was a guy, so my dick doesn't make me more or less than anyone. It's just a dick. All my male biology means is that after my sperm and egg component self took a victory lap after conception, my cells divided, kept dividing, developed, and started to form the vagina we all start out with. Became an outie as opposed to an innie, and instead of an XX, I became an XY. But the truth is that our energy, the essence of who we are, and that which survives and continues after we shuffle off this mortal coil, our energy is divine feminine and divine masculine, and make no mistake about it, the divine feminine energy is lit as fuck. You might have read that and said, oh, that sounds like such a DM thing to say. Perhaps, but sit back, friend, and read a dispelling of the telling you may have been told. We are creatures of balance, disbalance, and many even have energetic vertigo because the world and all the truth slayers stood on top of some high ground and told it and tell it like it ain't. Picture the wildly imaged divine feminine and hand me a higher self hammer because I'm going to break that image for you. The divine feminine is the creator, the fountain source of all that is. No matter what, it is the divine feminine who gave birth to it. If you want to call it God, fine, then know it as true that God is a woman in this regard. If you are a divine feminine, own that and run with it like you were on fire, because you absolutely are. The fire is feminine. It is light and defines the dark. It creates, destroys, and nothing is without it. The universe without divine feminine energy isn't the universe. The divine feminine is intuition and emotion. Think about that for a moment and savor what that means. Intuition is knowing without having learned it or reasoned first. You just know. That's as powerful as you can imagine, and yet the prevailing worldly thought is that the divine feminine is some kind of shrinking violet or meek and timid creature. Nope, not even close. The divine feminine is a dragon of ferocity and magical mystery. Emotions are tidal in force, and they spice up the bland food in our everyday cuisine of our lives. The divine feminine is the burning star of each emotion, and sometimes 2, 3, or more stars all burning all at once. Then, faced with such an awesome display of ferocious light and purity, many turn away, not because the stars are too much, but because some who stand in that power are not enough to handle it. If you are physically a woman, you may experience challenges in the modern world because men have, and in large part continue, to find certain terms of power and authority in such a way that create a falsity of the divine feminine identity. Most women are governed by their divine feminine energy. However, those who are governed by their divine masculine energy typically choose ambition and ego and the kind of typical gravity-centered expressions of worldly power that men choose. And it is a choice. You see, life is about learning your experiences in the context of your predominant energy and also its counterpart. As a young man, I often chose to be action-oriented, a decision maker, and had to control my more vulnerable emotions to the point that they were bottled like a carbonated beverage, being shook and shook and shook over and over and over. Those bottled up emotions transmuted into an alchemist's nightmare brew of baser emotions which appeal to the darkest shadows within. It was what the world expected of me, what my life circumstances guided me towards, and what I needed to be at the time. In much of my life, I still need to be that person. As a father, a professional, one who people depend on to be a protector, I am a sword and shield. The emotions I felt growing up were conflicted and angry, a parade of negative, power-centric feelings. I hated being me because everything about it felt wrong. It damaged me in ways that are probably permanent, but as I grow older, I detached more and more from that shell persona and allowed my divine feminine to leak out. The scars remain, but I am kinder about forgiving myself and others, thanks in large part to my divine feminine energy. It had been flirting around the perimeter of my soul until my encounter with her, the one I believed to be my twin flame. That's when my divine feminine energy exploded from within, and I understood the beautiful healing energy which was released. It was like she unscrewed the cap of that carbonated beverage, poured it in a glass of ice, and squeezed some lemon into it. And all she had to do was talk with me. For a time, it was beautiful, and I felt incredibly connected to the nature of things, the universe, and I was able to release pent-up emotions, rediscover those within, and new facets I never knew were there. I allowed the predominant divine feminine energy to flow through me, and it did so unrestricted. I felt alive and more creative than ever. I felt stronger than I ever did in my life, regardless of youth, and discovered untapped abilities and gifts which I only intuitively knew were there, but not the extent. I wasn't drained of my energy, but revived and replenished. It is a struggle to maintain that beautiful energy because, much like a flower, beauty has its season, but season after season, more flowers bloom and become brighter. So you see, I don't write from an academic perspective about divine feminine and divine masculine. I live them, and while we need to strive for balance, I am of the divine feminine, which I honor and cherish. Sorry, got distracted. Which I honor and cherish as the extraordinary, the exquisite, and the enchanted. When I close my eyes and dream, whether the daydreams of those within my slumber, whether in daydreams or those within my slumber, it is in the colors of the divine feminine, not the edges and lines of the divine masculine, my dreams become. When I visualize the image of my soul's visualize the image of my soul's energy, the face I see is not my own, but of hers. Perhaps that's the secret of the last lifetime on the twin flame journey. In encountering our twin flame, we see the face of our soul's energy. When I close my eyes, I see her. That's kind of it. Is that I feel like our connection has allowed me to see myself in its best light. And I hope to some degree that our connection has helped you find you, your truth, your balance, the balance between the divine feminine and divine masculine within yourself. Because I know when I close my eyes, everything I love about myself, I see in your reflection. And I really love myself now. Maybe not the cheeks. Anyway, this is getting really long, so I will leave it at that. And to any twin flames that are watching, it's about finding that balance, the balance within yourself, the balance of energy, the balance of divine feminine and masculine within each of us, not just trying to acquire that balance with whatever partner you bring into your world. So that's all for today, and I will wish you all the best for this beautiful weekend. Stay cool. I know you probably won't watch this, I know my twin flame probably won't watch this until next week. For the rest of you, enjoy the beautiful weather. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and I will leave it at Dear Twin Flame. You have all my love for all my life.